Education on January 30th. Continuing with bill introductions, we are now moving on to H616, flexible pathways related bills. And I'm going to turn it over to Representative Booten of Berry City, who probably introduce yourself, but then talk to us about the bill.
Absolutely. Michael Booten, Berry City representative, and I'm here about H616. It's a bill that would expand the ability for people to tap into AOE approved learning program. First, let me address the obvious. Yes, technically students have access to the free virtual learning. Currently, AOE has partnered with Vermont Virtual Learning Cooperative. Under current state, a parent may request that their child go to VTVLC, which is the Vermont Virtual Learning Cooperative. However, statute states that it is the school's decision ultimately whether or not they will allow a kid to go through the program. Specifically, it has to be the student's personal learning plan, PLP. Although parents' thoughts are considered, the school is the one that makes the decision. So the issue that it fixes, in my opinion, is if a parent has decided to homeschool, they must withdraw their child. And at that point, we don't know anything, right? So we can't track them. We can't find out what's going on with their educational journey. Schools also lose funding associated with that child. If they were to have the right to use VTVLC, funding will still filter through the schools. Children's education is monitored, and Vermont teachers are still teaching. The bill gives freedom to parents while assuring quality education. And with that, I will ask if you have questions.
So just conceptually, the student would remain enrolled in a school, but would be sort of not on premises and instead choosing to sort of be a full-time virtual learner.
Or let's say, because again, it is the school's decision. Let's say that they only want to take one class, right? Technically, they have the ability to do that, but the school makes that decision. And so they could take one class and still be on campus, or they could be 100% remote.
So this bill proposes then that parents have more of a say in the decision of like,
correct. They would actually, because what happens again, when parents make the decision to homeschool, and we know that homeschooling is on the rise, we lose complete track of children and their education. And I think it's a good idea to give parents not only the option to use a AOE approved program that does amazing tracking, by the way, and it's actually cheaper than usually what you would get in a regular school. And the school would receive the additional funds that are in there for full disclosure. Go ahead, Rob.
and do we have any idea how many kids take advantage of this at this point?
So I do not. I do not know what the current amount that are currently doing it.
Yeah.
But obviously it would probably be increased. Not a lot. I doubt that a lot of people would do it, but some of those students that are homeschooled currently may end up doing it, which again brings them back into the fold.
Go ahead, Josh.
So I appreciate you bringing this because I do think that parents having a larger voice in their child's education is falling by the wayside, and I think it should be brought back to the forefront. I also, as I think about it more, there are some kids who go through some pretty not great social dynamics in school, like bullying and other things, and they don't feel, and they can't get out, right? Because families can't maybe homeschool in the way that like provide that curriculum to them. But this is a way where if a kid, it doesn't make sense for that child to be in that school system and have no other choice because they can't go to another school without paying full tuition. This is one where they could actually do that work from home within a really great approved state supply the educational system. So I think that it is important for even those kinds of scenarios.
And I also want to point out that there is a piece of the bill that's missing that I would highly recommend if you guys were to put it in your miscellaneous bill. Is that you would add in there, if it's not working, then they have to come back to the school. Because some virtual learning doesn't work, right? It just, we know that it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work for students. More than likely, if a parent is that involved to want to pull their child out, that's not going to be the type of situation that we had during COVID. But I still think that, if the numbers or, if the education quality or they're not learning through virtual learning, then they probably should have some sort of clawback feature. Although I think VLC would not allow a student that's not succeeding to continue. I might be wrong on that. I feel like during.
Oh, I'm not sure you could claw back a homeschool student who is enrolled full-time in VTVLC and then decides to return to homeschooling.
Well, yeah, once they go to home, I mean, again, it's keeping, I don't want to say it's keeping them in the system, but it is keeping them in the system. And we're able to track everything. And right now it's, that's just not the case with homeschooling.
I sort of appreciate that angle to this. It's quite thought-provoking. But do you know if VTVLC offers a broad enough array of curriculum to actually give somebody a full-time education?
They do actually. They are able to, I believe, from maybe even pre-K all the way up to 12. But I do know that they can do 1 through 12. They do elementary and high school.
Just to your comment, I do know of a few families who actually use it for their homeschool program and have their middle school and they're now in high school.
Yeah, just that it intrigues me as like, well, that student should be considered enrolled from a funding point of view.
Yeah, and just as a comment, having taught through COVID, I mean, I get the willies a little bit when we start talking about, opening up virtual learning for kids. It was quite, at some level, quite a disaster, although there were exceptions. I mean, I did have students who did well, but, and I think your comment also scares me, like, because how do we get that kid back that's been bullied or rectify that situation, right? But I heard what you were saying.
And for me, it's like, if we could put them in another school without putting the family through a rigmarole, like that sometimes is it could be the solution, but it's not an easy process sometimes.
Can I follow up on that comment? Because you're right, COVID was not good for our children because of the virtual learning. But we're not talking about all children, right?
Right,
We're
understood.
talking, and that's and on top of that, and then no fault to our teachers, but teachers were forced to do virtual learning. And that's not, who's a teacher here? So let me ask you, okay, it's a completely different situation from virtual learning
Yes.
so the people that are in the VLC,
Right.
they know how to teach virtually. And on top of that, these are families that are committed to that virtual learning. Whereas during COVID, we had children that didn't have any support from home.
Yep.
Were forced to look at a screen or what have you. And that just doesn't work, right? Like we know that doesn't work. We can see it in the numbers, but we can also see in homeschooling where parents are directly involved in their children, it does have a positive impact. I mean, it does. And I get it, but this is a way that we can offer education, be able to track a child's journey, to be able to keep them in the system, so to speak,
Right.
and give the parents the right to usher their children education.
Thank you, Representative Booten, for your presentation. We'll do a walkthrough with Legislative Council now.
Perfect. Do you want me to stick around or
Totally up to you.
I will take off just because I have things in commerce. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
And that's St. James Office of Legislative Counsel. So we're gonna walk through H616 as introduced, an act relating to the right to enroll full-time in virtual learning. Section 1 amends section 821.
You actually skipped over a part that I had a question about.
Oh, sure. In the statement of purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
The bill proposes to require a school board to pay tuition to BTVLC. Is that how it works currently? Is it a tuition-based model?
Let's look. So the way it works currently is, so it looks like, so this is the enabling law that we put in, or not enabling law, the programmatic specific law that we put in last year. Virtual learning has been a part of Flexible Pathways, as you know, for many years, but there was no program specific statute. This is the language we put in last year. And there's nothing about tuition in there. So the answer is I don't know. I suspect that this is part of the Flexible Pathways categorical aid.
Yeah.
That comes is the Flexible Pathways program. There are a few different programs that have some general fund dollars, but in general, it's a categorical aid program. So coming off the top of the ed fund, what I will do is go back and look at the budget and find the line item for that appropriation, and it is likely to have virtual learning in there.
And we can also hear from somebody from BTVLC for even.
Absolutely.
Josh.
I think after thinking about it and listening to you too, I think what it might be is by putting tuitioning in there, that's where it puts the funds in the hands of the district, which they don't get for the homeschoolers. So by doing that, if the tuition's $5,000, they pay that and they get to keep the other 10 or whatever it is. And that might be purposefully in his way to get the money to flow through the school as opposed to just directly to be the money to not come into the district.
I'm not sure because legally in order for the school to be able to count the students being enrolled, it would be a tuition-based thing.
Just didn't know if that might have been the intent behind it.
Anyway.
So I think we should walk through the bill because I think this will answer all of your questions or assumptions you are making.
Not here on the intent language, yeah.
Thank you. Section 1 makes an amendment to section 821, which is the statute. This is our town tuition program. This is the statute that requires a school district to maintain a public elementary school or pay tuition. Yep, okay. And we do the same thing in section 822 and section 2. But so section 821 says maintain an elementary school or pay tuition. All of this is current law. You see no strike throughs, no underlying. This is just a drafting convention change. You don't need to worry about it. We get all the way to page 3 before we see the new language, which says, notwithstanding subsection A of this section, which is what dictates when a school district is paying tuition for an elementary student, at the request of a parent or legal guardian of a resident student, a school board in a district that operates an elementary school shall pay tuition for the elementary student to enroll full-time with the virtual learning provider that AOE maintains access to and oversight of pursuant to section 948. The district is required to pay the full tuition charged by the virtual learning provider. So this would actually be a school district. So what this bill does is say, operating school districts, if a parent comes to you and says, we don't want our child to attend the public school, we want our child to enroll full-time in virtual learning, the school district has to pay tuition. The virtual learning program under Flexible Pathways is still there and is still operating. But there's a second option to access virtual learning through public funds through this language.
All right.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I just want to give a disclaimer. This is what the bill says. I can't comment on whether that tracks with what the sponsor intended. That's a question for the sponsor.
But also, it's clear if we're going to pursue this, we need to just learn more. Yeah. Representative Long.
So for clarity, how does homeschooling fit into this?
It doesn't. So, well, I should say this.
That's the part that was confusing.
So so Vermont's compulsory attendance laws requires children between the ages of 6 and 16 to be in either public school, an independent school, or a homeschool program. If you were in a homeschool program, you're not enrolled in the public school system.
Right.
If you are enrolled in the public school system, this would apply. So if you are enrolled in homeschooling, you are not counted in the district's ADM. There is no one to pay tuition for because you are not part of the public school system. You're doing the homeschool program. But if you are a student attending a public school, and you are not enrolled in the home study program, then you could, under this language, ask for the district to pay tuition for you. If you were a homeschool student, this law went into effect and you wanted to take advantage of it, you would no longer be a homeschooled student.
You enroll.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes,
Helps because it was confusing.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. And then this is saying that the only virtual learning provider is the one that the Agency of Education maintains. So it's not like ABC Virtual Learning in Timbuktu decides to come to market. We can't go to that, right?
Yes, so I'm gonna skip section 2. It's the same concept, but for high school. And go right to section 3. Oh. Thought there was a section 3. I guess there isn't. Yes, so those statute says. Sorry, my internet connection is unstable. That happens.
Imagine
right?
that.
Almost.
Well, I'm trying to pull up the statute so you can see. I just used the language from section 948 about AOE maintaining access to and oversight of. So it's the same language from the virtual learning programmatic statute. So yes.
And I bring that up because that means that it stays within the public education world, not.
This is at a minimum, a good prompt for us to learn more about how VTVLC is doing, and sort of what it does offer.
Like to know how many people are taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and in what form.
I think quite a few students at our school take advantage of it. I mean, I will say in this conversation about all the different paths kids can go on, this is yet another one of them.
It's very flexible, isn't it, those pathways?
So flexible.
It's like smoke bends, right? Who would have thought?
Josh.
So where I know it's been good, at least in communities around me, is where there isn't anything other than, like if you're looking for speaking Spanish or Russian or Mandarin or whatever, there's not a lot of options in a lot of more rural schools. This opens up those options significantly while still being in the school. So I think like there is a lot of usage for off-market kind of learning.
I think they offer Russian.
That's
I
also
hope so.
available to students who are enrolled in person.
Right.
in-
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's not true, but I'm just want to make sure everybody understands that that option is available for all of our public school students. And those
And I was
tuition.
just commenting on that's how it's some good ways it's being used currently in our public schools, not for this particular purpose that Michael brought up.
Yeah, I think it's, I think from a union negotiations point of view, it is supposed to be additive and not supplant teaching in schools.
I think sometimes it does supplant though. That is happening, that like we offer an English an English class or a history class at a certain grade level and kids are still somehow getting signed up for taking 10th grade history. VLTs. I mean,
That's a little off topic, but.
no, but well,
Yeah.
you're saying it shouldn't, and I'm just saying it does.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time this morning with going through all of these.
We have one more, right?
Yes, we have one more. And why don't you just stay right there and you can present first?
Just had to restart my computer.
Oh, all right. All right, then we'll make Emily go first. This is 802.
802.
Lucky for you, if that's a bill number.
802, it's a great bill.
I pull it up, but we're all suffering here, I assume from.
It's
Oh,
gonna
there
be
it is.
issues.
All right. This is House Bill 802, bill introduction.
Thank you. For the record, Representative Emily Long, Newfane, Wyndham 5. This bill came out of a question that came to me from a business manager that I answered with all the knowledge that I thought I had in confidence and found out I was wrong. And in fact, I reached out to our chair and he will going to just fully disclose, thought the same thing I thought. The Act 173, which is the act related to enhancing effectiveness, availability, and equity of services provided to students who require additional support, our special ed bill of 2018, included an inflator when we passed the bill for each year, an inflator to the special education census grant. What I didn't realize and assured the business manager who reached out to me was that the inflator actually ended in, help me the date, I can't remember when.
I believe this would be the
23.
first year, this fiscal
Right.
year.
Which was why it came to me. And so I am requesting that we put the inflator back in, and the language, which you'll hear in the walkthrough, is based on the same methodology that was in place before, which is it inflates the uniform base amount used to calculate the census grant by NIPA, which is the National Income and Product Accounts from 2020. And that's simply all it does. It does it from current year on. So, questions, comments?
Just a timing thing. So did the inflator hit for the for the FY 26,
It did, and it's not for 26.
27, which is the budget that everybody will be voting on in March?
Correct.
Yeah.
Which was one of the reasons why I rapidly jumped on this, because I really didn't want to see this just go away. I mean, we all know.
Just for those of you who may not be as sort of know the history of Act 173 the way Emily and I do. So Act 173, it pays for special education in all of our schools based on the number of students in the school with a block grant. And so when it was created, it was an inflator to recognize that block grant needs to go up to inflation. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
It's pretty straightforward.
That was,
It's a very simple bill.
extensive testimony.
Good catch for staff members in our
Absolutely.
SUs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again.
Beth St. James, Office of Legislative Counsel. I'm having a heck of a time getting the internet to work for me. So while I wait for the bill to come up, I will.
I guess it's fair to say, as I look through this, there's lots of stuff crossed out, which I assume is because it's all in the past at this point.
So I will say, actually, if someone wants to share, if Matt can share his screen, I can. Matt, can you do that?
I can just hand you my thing.
How do you do that?
I don't
So
think so.
kind.
I should have mentioned that about the clarifying language. There's a lot of cleanup language.
Yes.
In here, and honestly, the changes are simply what I told you.
Yeah.
But it looks a lot bigger.
So I'm wondering why it wasn't a one-page bill.
My apologies. I should have mentioned that when I was
The opportunity to clean it up.
this, and Ledge Council is wonderful in doing that whenever presented with the opportunity.
And that was not me.
No.
It is up behind you now.
Thank you. So I should say that I'm pinch hitting today for John Gray, who was booked in another committee. But this is the level of finance that I can handle. So here. Matt, can you scroll? Very powerful. Please scroll. Okay, well, let's stop there. So section 2961 is the census grant. You'll remember before this. Well, you won't remember, so we won't have to talk about that. So some of this is like these strikeouts are just drafting convention. Can you keep scrolling? Okay, this is great. So the census block grant, you use a base amount or a uniform base amount to calculate it. But we needed to get everyone to that uniform base amount. So the statute has a bunch of transition mechanisms built in. And that is what is struck, everything that is struck through is all of the transition language. So that when we go through and come up with our supplements this year, you'll have a nice clean statute because we are no longer in the transition anymore. We are just in the census block grant. And so you'll just have how to calculate the block grant using the uniform base amount and none of the for fiscal year 2021, 2022, and 2023, this is how you do it. And for fiscal year 2024, 2025, this is how you do it. So that's what John is, that's what he has struck through here. In the uniform base amount, you'll see, so means an amount determined by dividing an amount equal to, I think this was a language preference, the average state appropriation for those years as adjusted by inflation. You can see that as adjusted by inflation is the underlined language. There was no inflator there before. Matt, can you scroll? But you can see that for fiscal years 21, 22, and 23, which is transition language, there was an inflator. And for fiscal years 24, 25, and 26, there was an inflator. Fiscal year 2027 is the first year out of the transition, and which is, I think, what was triggering everyone to say, is there an inflator? So I don't know that you were wrong when you were answering your business officers before that there was an inflator, because there was in the transition years, but not once we're out of the transition. So substantively, all this bill does is add the inflator for the census block grant going forward.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have a ballpark of how much money or how much actual dollars you're talking about for the inflator? Like what the rate is?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have
I'm
no
just kidding.
idea.
I didn't expect anyone would know.
That's a good question that we may need to pass over to JFO.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And Jenna, would you mind contacting Julia Richter
Sure.
about that?
Thank you, Matt.
And this is really kind of a question for Emily and me, and that is, was it our intent to sunset the inflator?
Right.
Yeah.
You're looking at me.
I'm looking at myself too.
I
Yeah.
know you are, but
Yeah.
while you're thinking.
Yeah.
I've given that a lot of thought too. And I don't recall ever having consideration of the sunset. In fact, I think if we had, we would have literally put sunset in there intentionally. On the other hand, the bill clearly said it ended in that
Why are
Because-
why are there dates?
I-
Well, the date was because that is
Not
when
supposed to
the
end.
transition. We may have forgotten to add that sentence in there that we would have that's the only thing I could come up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was ever any intention. We always knew that there needed to be an inflator, and that's because we were on the committee at the time when we passed this in 2018.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts. I do
Yeah,
have it.
I know, I'm trying to think of a logical reason why we would have taken the inflator away, and I can't come up with one.
If I can say one more thing, there was genuine confusion in the field about this. I mean, it was at the VASBO meeting where it came up and people, and I honestly did speak with very much confidence saying, oh, no, it's still there. And they actually recognized it last year, but we still had it in place. And so, they were genuinely confused why it would go.
Thank you. And so I'd say further instruction with this one is if you wouldn't mind adding it to our miscellaneous ed bill.
Got it.
All right, that is it then, folks. We're back here at 1 for some probably relatively quick testimony from the treasurer's office to learn more about the Higher Education Trust Fund. And we've all gotten a copy of the report. Probably going to answer, if you take a moment and read that, you'll probably understand everything they're going to say when they come to testify.